Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Solo Challenge Stream with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. Tonight, the plan, as is sort of usual with this, although we don't visit this subject that often, since we already reached the current dungeons, is that I will attempt to solo Underkeep. And unless it's like, let's say I fail because I time out due to like wiping too many times. At that point, unless it's like we'd get it on the rebound, then that's pretty much where I would usually like make the judgment call of whether it's possible for me or not. A different thing since last time is that when we did Uewater Field Station, I basically had full best in slot by the time we did it. Whereas this time, I have like 750, but, you know, I'm not a warrior main right now, so it's not perfect. So it'll be a little harder, probably. But then at the same time, it is Underkeep and not Uewater Field Station. The key thing that was scary about Uewater Field Station is that the first boss technically has a DPS check. And yes, that will actually wipe you if you goof it up. And the second and third boss both have stack markers. The key being the third boss, the final boss, the big bunny, both did a lot of damage with its tank buster and did even more damage with its stack marker on a single person. So it was just barely doable, at least for me. Now, Underkeep is a little different. The first boss has a tank buster, I think, and it has a stack marker, but it takes a huge amount of time between sections, so like, you have time to like recover in between waves, as it were. So it might be fine. The second boss spends a lot of time on attacks that are avoidable. I think it has a tank buster. I can't actually remember if it has a stack marker. But it spends a lot of time on damage that you can just step aside for. The last boss has a line stack. But that's pretty much the only dangerous thing. And I'm pretty sure you can survive that by just using a bunch of defensive cooldowns. If you even need more than one to survive it. And we just need to live it so we can heal back up. So it should be doable. And most of the trash packs should be pretty manageable alone as well. There are a lot of ranged mobs. And those usually cause problems because you can't just kite those. Not in the like technically you can, but they will not lose very much uptime by you kiting them. So that can also impact pace. If we need to single pull every single pack in the dungeon, then it's going to take a lot longer to deal with the trash packs. Actually, I just remembered something. I'll have to set this up now because I remembered it now and not before the stream. But every single time we've done this, once we've already started, whoops, I remember that people have requested a speedrun timer so that we can see how fast each segment took. It'll be a little bit simplified because I don't remember the different names of things. But it'll probably be better than nothing. Just testing that it works. Like so. Wink. It has to be a little bit smaller. There we go. Can get a death counter. I don't think you'll need that. Now, with that said, hey Taldemar, hey Nox, hey Void Hunter, hey Rust, hey Aradel, hey Gazel, hey Raging Bull, hey Naomi, hey Agent Monica, hey Saros, hey Alice, hey Ilya, hey Tabi, hey May, hey Tung, hey Kat, hey Lana, hey Fila, and hey Malice. Hope you're all doing very well. And remember, I know it's a little early, but if you are enjoying the stream, it does help me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube, telling the algorithm this is an enjoyable stream. You like other people to enjoy it as well, so thank you so much in advance. But that said, I will need 3 volunteers to help me actually get inside. They're so closely stacked I can hardly... Can 3 people that are not in a party step forward so I maybe can get a hand if you have time? You're already in a party. You have to leave your party. Right, so just explaining. The way that this works is that you cannot solo enter current expansion content. Like, it straight up will not let you. Like, if you use like this option is not available for current content, meaning like all Dawntrail content is off limits for this for some reason. Which also means that this option is irrelevant because like you can't use this. So I basically just need 3 people to help me enter the dungeon, and the instant that we're inside, they leave. And the reason why they have to leave is because as long as there are people in my party, I get the party bonus, which would be cheating. So that is the reason why we're bringing people. Also, hey KitKat Bar, I hope you're doing well. So just one more time. The moment we're inside, you just leave. It is pretty funny. It seems like a lot of players don't actually realize that there is this limitation, because I remember, I think it was Cat and Ham that had problems with that when they were trying to solo test stuff, that when they tried to like post up in party finders to get some people to help them, they got a lot of messages saying, lol, just use unsync Lamau. But it doesn't work. Fantastic. Thank you.
There are beasts ahead of you.
Now, a particular thing that has changed since last time I did this is that the AoE patches happened. Which is to say, the main thing this impacts is that Warrior's Chaotic Cyclone, like, giga sucks now. Like, it's mega bad. Because it got nerfed by like 33%. It's quite something. Now, it doesn't change how we actually deal with this. Not in the slightest. But, it will probably affect the speed at which we clear things. Because it didn't nerf the healing provided by Chaotic Cyclone. And they are chunkier than I had expected. Another thing that also comes up a lot of the time in these kind of runs is that Decimate having a really long time before the attack actually connects can be problematic. Like, sometimes you'd actually need to use Overpower or Mithril Tempest instead, just to be sure you can receive the healing before the enemy kills you. These sand cakes. Why are you so chunky specifically? Perfect decimation? Is that something that Warrior of Light had? Say Kraken mode. Hope you're doing well. The sandbagging. Yeah, that sounds about right.
There should be an access hatch nearby that leads inside.
The Final Fantasy 13 Flan curse. Does God have a flan for me? Hello, another sand cake. Say Sally, hope you're doing well. So, funny thing about all this is that in the past, it was quite common that I had to run away for a while. Like, in between bursts of damage. But it's not nearly as often that that actually comes up since Dawntrail. Specifically since Dawntrail dungeons. But I think we will have a runaway in a moment. Because I am out of cooldowns and there are still a lot of mobs. So the trick here is we run to play for time until Bloodwetting is ready. Turns out kiting works, guys. Isn't that incredible? Can't you use an OGCD to push Decimate's damage faster to receive the healing faster? Nope, that is a myth that I have busted in my Mythbuster series champion. The healing appears, but the healing isn't actually truly received until it changes on, like, until you actually see the healing on your health bar. Isn't that weird? It's actually also the same with how, like, you can see that if you do an OGCD to make the damage numbers appear, the mob doesn't die until until the damage would normally had like how it normally would when it normally would have landed. So nope, it doesn't work. Even though it looks like it should work, champion, it just doesn't, because Final Fantasy 14 is jank. Straight up. Hope you're doing well. Also to you, Bolzy Mika, and Noshea. Oh, Noja. Hope you're doing well. Like, these are the kinds of places where I randomly stumble into these myths. Because it turns out they matter here. That it matters that Decimate takes like 2 seconds before the damage lands. Thank you, Tongue. So, nearly 8 minutes to reach the first boss.
I'm detecting something big. You'll have to deal with it to continue on.
Now, this boss becomes untargetable after about 28 seconds of combat. And each phase after that, I think, lasts like 40 seconds or so. Now, I haven't actually counted how long there is between the phases, but the amount of time each phase is matters, because it means that you might actually need to like use your things instead of holding them for the next one and things like that. He's off. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Catfish. Hope you're doing well. Oh boy, a spread. What's going to really suck about this is that the boss is going to like massively drag out this fight by leaving over and over and over again. That's really what's going to suck about this. Like, if I only chip off like 10%, will it leave more than 2 times? I believe it does, yes. But we'll see. We will find out today how many times this boss leaves. Because if it leaves a finite amount of times, I am confident we will see 100% of the amount of times it will leave. Okay, that hurt a little more than I had expected. Yeah, either we'll find out that the boss stops leaving, or we'll find out that it never stops leaving. Given how long it takes to do all of its things, it's going to have trouble actually overcoming my cooldowns. That's really the challenge here for the boss. Like, the one thing that can put me in danger is a stack marker or that tank buster I'd used, because it turns out that hurt. Oh, you're just staying now. What? What? What was that? It just stood there like, I didn't expect to get this far. Just looking at me for that Earth song. Huh? Well, I guess we have the answer then. Hey Matthew, hope you're doing well. Also, no worries, champion. It's some. I think I've covered. I do believe I covered it in Dawntrail, but you know, there's still like at least 10 Mythbuster episodes in Dawntrail alone. So if you I don't believe it was like the thumbnail topic, so you might not have been like, oh, for that specific thing. But there is a playlist of all the Mythbuster stuff, so if you enjoy that, like some of the things will be things that will be repeated. Because, you know, just because I have covered it doesn't mean that everyone saw it. So sometimes I'll, like, bring it up again to make sure that more people have a chance of getting those. And sometimes it'll be something where, like, things have changed. Or I discover later that I was wrong. Like, that I did it wrong or whatever. But the playlist is there, so you can watch all of it if you enjoy that stuff. Well, apparently it only leaves twice. Thank you, Erdl. Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is turbo jank. Like, to be fair, other MMOs also have their super jank, but some of the things that Final Fantasy XIV has that is janked up is like things that you would have expected would have been resolved by now. It's quite a short cycle. Yeah, it is. It's a very short cycle. Well, the positive part of that is that means I don't have to wait like 20 or 30 seconds for him to come back more than twice. Don't fix it if it is not broken. I would say that some of these things that I was thinking about there, like this weird jank with the damage and healing numbers appearing early if you OGCD weave, that's not that I wouldn't say that is not broken. I would say that is actually broken. Jose Midichlorian, hope you're doing well. F for what? Wait, that is also a funny one, Silly. In specifically Dawntrail, we've reached like some sort of level of zen where we've discovered a lot of like exactly how things work in the game. To a degree where like we discover things that have basically always been broken. But because we did, like, a lot of players, and most players, didn't reach that level of understanding of the game until Dawntrail, or maybe Super Late Endwalker, it feels like Dawntrail is to blame, right? And sometimes people just mention that it is a problem in Dawntrail, and then other players will hear it as it's a problem Dawntrail introduced, even though now what they actually meant is it's a problem that is still there in Dawntrail. Still bad. And yet, from what I can see, the stream didn't have any problems, Midichlorian. But then it's still annoying. It's also possible, like, given the kind of things that I could list of this kind of jank, that maybe the devs just look at all those minor problems and go, well, it doesn't prevent you from playing the game, does it? It doesn't massively negatively impact your experience of the game, does it? And then, like, they don't fix it because, I don't know, cost.
To the access hatch and head inside.
Thank you, Rust. And yeah, As I said, we put a little timer on. This is something, like, I think for most of the Dawntrail series of this, I've forgotten every time to include a speedrun timer that was requested. But now I remembered. I finally remembered. At, like, in the 12th hour, just before we ended, I was like, wait a minute. I should not have used Bloodwetting that early. That's not what I said wait a minute to. And yeah, that fight was shockingly easy. The only thing that was actually dangerous was the tank buster, but because the cycle was too long, considering how unthreatening everything else it did was, basically meant that I had... Oh boy, I just realized the big boys have tank busters. You know, some of the funniest ones of that kind of caliber I've met, Sally, is... Did you know that the Anteater... No, not Anteater. Antlion boss in... what's it called? The Golbez dungeon. Lunar Subterranean, thank you, Asymmetricon. It has a tank buster. But it doesn't use it until every pillar in the arena has been destroyed. It just straight up doesn't use it. And not only does it have a tank buster, but the tank buster has a unique animation that it doesn't use for anything else. But it doesn't use it until, like, I believe usually in a run of that dungeon, you'll see like 2 sets of pillars get broken, maybe 3. It needs to break all 4 before it even entertains the idea of using its tank buster. Oh, that is a good point, Alice. That was actually something I hadn't considered. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be a problem. But yeah, I also thought the same, that the second boss, I think it has a tank buster. I don't remember if it has a stack marker. But if it doesn't, then it's mega over, because it doesn't have anything that actually threatens me. And it'll spend so much time doing avoidable attacks. Tank bust on spread AoE, right? Well, yeah, then it is mega over for Captain Clone. That is a funny thing. I can never remember that. Bro, are you for real right now? Wow. This boy. One small step at a time. Come on, you can do it. Can Dark Knight solo the new Cutter's Cry once it's out next week? It would probably be down to either Dark Knight or Warrior if a tank should do it, but I actually beat original Cutter's Cry with Scholar synced. Turns out having Ruin 2 at that level is very, very broken. I remember I kited the Chimera boss for so long I actually ran out of MP. I don't think I had to kite it so aggressively, it was just I could, so why not? Thank you, Aerodel. And you should be better about using Damnation as soon as Bloodwedding ends. I had to use Equilibrium specifically because I was slow on that just now. Hey Cole, hope you're doing well. I didn't mean to use Inner Chaos there. That was incredibly stupid. Last two pulls are gonna take forever. Yeah. Yeah. Probably. What is gonna be real scary is the 5th AoE pull in this dungeon has, I believe, at least 3 of the mobs, if not all 5, are ranged. Which means that kiting will not work very well, so I'll have to run away even sooner if I end up in danger. Yeah, I have definitely done this dungeon in like 13 minutes, I think, when we do the dailies in the evening. Use the stairs to line of sight. That could help, champion. That could help. Just like kite them real far past the stairs. The last boss is a free solo. The thing that is scary about the last boss is its stack marker. If it uses it frequently enough, then it might be a problem. I don't know if it is. You did it from 40% day 1 blind? Oh, Cole, the problem is doing it from 100%. That's also the problem in Skydeep Shinote, that if you have to take it from if you have to take it from like 40%, you can cycle your defensive cooldowns long enough that it'll be fine. But if you have to take it from 100%, your cooldowns will gradually fall behind. Thank you again, Erdil. I'm really bad at this, huh? At least it'll only be a few seconds off. This is what makes this boss kind of free. Apparently auto attacks during it. Wow. Hey, it's Vera. Hope you're doing well. You can, unless something, assuming we will beat this. Assuming we beat this, then every Dawntrail dungeon can be soloed by one lonely tanky boy. And as far as I think Skydeep Shinote is like the huge, the impossible one where like some tanks actually can't. But I mean, Gunbreaker and Paladin can probably also solo most of the dungeons. The main reason why they run into trouble is because they have slightly less healing capacity than Warrior. Dark Knight is also pretty solid. It's just been so long since we did any tests on it that I don't have, like, super solid data on it. Tongue says, I kind of hate how Dawntrail dungeons have become easier. They have not become easier. Arguably, some players say that Dawntrail dungeons are harder than Endwalker dungeons. The problem is, a good player makes better use of their toolkit, and Dawntrail means you have more toolkit. And consider that, Tongue. The only dungeons that Warrior cannot solo in Endwalker are dungeons with a too tight DPS check. That's it. Like, all it takes is a dungeon with a tight enough DPS check, and Warrior goes, okay, I give in. You win this time. Like, Phil Court of Troya can't solo it. Straight up can't. Because the first boss has a DPS check. Like, it's not even the last boss. It's the first boss. Meanwhile, Lapis Manalis can be soloed by a warrior if you're amazing. Even though it has a DPS check on the final boss. The pulls feel easier? I don't know what to tell you, Tongue. It is very possible that you've gotten better. But it is also possible the dungeon pulls haven't evolved enough. I will say it's not like the Dawntrail dungeon pulls have innovated a lot. Salomon says, is there a reason why almost all capstone dungeons feel easier than leveling ones? Is it just a matter of item oversync? Yes. That's it. And yeah, indeed, as Cole mentioned, one of the scariest pulls in Dawntrail is the Wokozorno, so the 93 dungeon, pull with I think they're called Bloodsuckers. It's just 2 mobs in a pack of like other mobs, because like those 2 mobs are like there with like a bird or something. But those 2 Bloodsuckers have a tank buster that hits like an actual freight train. And there's 2 of them. They are strong enough that a warrior even has to pull them alone to have a chance of killing one in time before they kill the warrior. In Vanguard, the 97 dungeon, there's this pull after the second boss with like 5 floaty boys, those that fly like with the weird wings. And they all have ranged tank busters. Which also means that you basically have to do the pulls one at a time. But it's really weird how these things work, because the Giga pull in Tower of Zot, that Cole mentioned Tower of Zot, the final pull in Tower of Zot with the pretty rough AoE pull, you can do that as a solo warrior. And that's soloable. It's no, like, you have to kite a little bit here and there, but none of the mobs are ranged. So it's basically free. All of the Giga pulls in Mount Gulg, soloable by a warrior, but they're considered very hard. But a warrior can solo them. Meanwhile, the Giga pull at the start of Bottom's Metal, not soloable by a warrior because there's too many ranged mobs. Weird, right? That's why I mentioned those weird oddities about AoE pulls in my videos on the hardest AoE pulls, is because a mob being ranged is a problem sometimes. And speaking of which, Cole, one of the hardest, but technically soloable dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV is Baelsar's Wall. Because the second boss has percentage damage. Anti-Tower is Heaven's Ward, yes. I just want it to be known that I didn't need, like, I wasn't even looking at the screen when the tank buster went through. That's why I just took it to the face. Hey, Bright Star. Hope you're doing well. Sage for which one? Say Dark Phoenix and Bright Star. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, for Baelsar's Wall, I eventually came back to it, and Baelsar's Wall is soloable, but I don't think it is... if it is possible with equipment and items you can actually acquire while it is your current duty, as in, like, if you're doing the whole solo self-found adventure like Wrath does, it might be possible still, but I'm just saying that beating it with all the tools available to you, that still requires that you're lucky. Like, you still have to be lucky. So basically, to do it without those advantages, you basically have to be even luckier. Like, you need crit RNG, as Kat says, with every tool allowed. So it would be completely obnoxious without. But sometimes, thank you, Erdel, sometimes it's just because you overlooked something. As I understand, when I beat the Black Eft in Castrum, synced as Scholar, I was told by the people, like, doing all this, like, solo challenge stuff, that that was actually, like, given that the sync in Castrum is really, really close to what you can actually get anyways, the fact that I had, like, some advantages in equipment didn't matter that much. But the previous record was, I think, level 57 Scholar or something. Then Cat Sins, I think it was Cat Sins, went and did it with Sage. It was either Cat or Ham. It's usually Cat or Ham. I say something is hard or impossible, and then they go, I disagree. Hey Zip-Zap, hope you're doing well. Have we tried Tender Valley? Yes, it is very easy. Very easy. Kat, I was talking about the Castrum Meridianum thing. With Sage. Was that you or Ham? Thank you, Erdel. Why are you over there? What are you doing? I had a feeling this would be the awkward pull. They're getting a lot of free hits in. It was Cat. Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds about right, Cole. Which also means that if we plan it smartly, we should probably make sure to overlap Bloodwetting with the filler. The big question is whether it is worth it to single target the ads, like the smaller guys, to get rid of them, or if they're better to keep around for burst healing. 1 to 50 with no MSQ progression. Yeah, that I have considered making some videos or streams on the subject of how much stuff you can do without progressing the MSQ at all. But I guess maybe that has already been fully explored. I was like, Duncan, hope you're doing well. And hey, Necrofits, we hope you're doing well as well. Thank you. Look, it's the boy, the Road Ripper. And with 4 enemies, it is better to cleave for maximum damage output. Now again, the question is whether it's better to keep the like all of the mobs around. Oh right, that. I'll just go this way. I wonder if it'll do it again. I wonder if it'll do it again. Also, ow. Why do you have a tank buster? Hey, Hazy Banana. Hope you're doing well. Da-da-da-da. The thing is, Cat, I can't quite remember. I just know that I have had enough time, so I was like, was it Cat that did it? And then Ham chimes in like, oh no, that one was actually mine. So I just go, it's one of you. That mean with whenever something happens, it's always one of you two. What myth is it, Void Hunter? Having more blues in your spell learning party increases the odds of you learning said spell. Yeah, no, that's that is basically impossible to test. And I'm pretty sure it does not. You can almost smell the confirmation bias, right? But it is true that it is a myth. You're correct. It is a myth. Part of the reason why I'm saying it's basically impossible to test is because You would need a huge amount of data to know whether or not it is true, and the person making the claim is basically like making the claim and then throwing the ball in your court to disprove it. It's just as hard for them to prove it. Jose Red Master, hope you're doing well. What happens if you pull him to the stairs before he does the dash and cleave? That is a good question, Cole.
But I have something that may
I would imagine he just runs up and then dashes. And yeah, exactly, you would need a huge amount of data, and because you can only learn each thing once, you would need a huge amount of characters.
This machine has long guarded these crumbling.
And yes, Kat says, if you just do the content synced, the probability is guaranteed for learning. But I see a lot of those, Void Hunter. Sometimes you'll also see people in the comment section of my Mythbuster videos where they literally see me demonstrate that something is true, and then they'll latch onto some part of it and go, well, actually didn't test that thing thoroughly enough, even though that part doesn't matter for the test in the slightest, because they so badly want it to not be true. The thing that I demonstrated. Good luck, Talibar! My uncle who works at Screenix told me. Exactly that kind of attitude, Matthew. Exactly. Which also means, by the way, Void Hunter, that even if you showed, like, sufficient data to prove them wrong, they would probably just still go, nah, you probably overlooked something. Because I had this one experience this one time. Like, the funniest one that I still haven't quite gotten over is, I showed in footage, in the video, Provoke generating a ton of enmity. And someone in the comments said, no, it doesn't work like that. It generates 1 point of enmity. It hasn't done that since Stormblood, as far as I can find. Like, why? Why? But, like, genuinely, the footage was right there, showing it, and they still went, no. Nope, unfortunately, I decided to wear a blindfold while watching this video, so it doesn't count.
For you to die here, it would save me trouble later.
That is true, Cole. Like, you could just dodge from here. I'm just, I don't mind taking the extra step to be sure. Oh, the way Provoke used to work, Alice, is that it set your enmity equal to the one who's currently at the top of enmity. And then it generated 1 point to make sure you were ahead. Really weird. Thank you, Erdel. Yeah, true. I have demonstrated this thing about Provoke so many times. In fact, I believe my second video on the channel was misconceptions about enmity and how Provoke works. Yes, really. I've been on this one for so long that if you actually sorted the channel's videos by oldest, you would see a video demonstrating this exact thing. Thank you, Erdel. Mace, is it necessary for starting a boss fight to use Provoke, or is it okay to just use the ranged attack on tanks? The ranged attack has a pretty heavy enmity multiplier itself. I made a somewhat recent Mythbuster video where I showed that off. The only time where you would probably want to use Provoke, possibly in tandem with the ranged attack, Or but maybe not in tandem with range attack. Like, the points where you might want to use Provoke is if it's like a Savage boss fight, and you want both tanks to have their tank stance on for the pull. And it's really important that you have aggro. In that specific scenario, you should make sure to Provoke to make sure that you have a head start over the other tank. But other than that, nah, range attack is fine. You see, the thing is, Noja, I don't know if Ardell has done a lot of prep. I think Ardell is just really good at sorting information. You know, the funniest part about it, Cole, is that it's a case of a lot of people that think they know how it works, but never bothered to check. Trying to correct someone who just checked. That's what makes it really funny. Like, they basically went, I read this off the back of a cereal pack this one time against a professor who just did the tests. That's what makes it really funny. Man, this boss has a lot of HP. I just realized we're halfway. By the way, wasn't this the exact pattern it just used? Is it? Does it only have one pattern? Like, does it just load one pattern and work with that for the whole fight? Hello? And that's also a good point, Sally says. Even when it did matter, only the hardcore players cared to look into it. Which also reminds me of something pretty funny I was thinking about, like, just a little bit before this stream. You know how I've taught in my videos a bunch of times that the diminishing returns reset window is exactly 1 minute after you applied after the most recent application of the crowd controls. Like, if you sleep something for 30 seconds and then just leave it alone for 30 seconds and then just don't sleep it again. Oh, it is the same pattern. Then 30 seconds after the sleep is over, the diminishing returns will reset, so you can sleep it for another 30 seconds. The thing that I found funny about that is, I know this, I've tested this, and I've maybe found it to matter, like, a couple times in, like, low-level solo challenge stuff. Like, when I did some as Scholar, I sometimes would sleep a mob, and I would actively go out of my way to, like, not sleep it again for a full minute to get maximum sleep value for the cast and things like that. And then it hit me when I was watching it. There's this new series, basically completely new guy on the block making a World of Warcraft retail playthrough where he is trying to level a character exclusively by doing dungeons. And he mentioned that he could prevent a specific mechanic or a specific scenario from playing out by stunning the boss and running away. Yeah, exactly, Nox. And then it occurred to me that I was like, wait a minute, what is the reset time for diminishing returns in WoW? Because I obviously know there is one, but I have never needed it. Which just goes to show that even with the level of optimization I went into when I played, I didn't care about information like that. I didn't need it. Now the big question is, what will run out first? My food buff or the boss's HP? Just weave food? No, I have 7 minutes. MMOs do tend to have more races and endurance tests. I think the reason for that, is simply because endurance tests are a lot easier to beat. Right, says, I'm surprised you don't have potions on your bar. The reason why, actually, I had a moment of clarity before the stream where I was like, wait a minute, I should put hyper potions. Like, I should bring hyper potions for this. And then I realized that they heal for 11,000. They heal for so little that the potential GCD clip of me using the potion itself would possibly not make it worth it. That's how bad the current potions are. But usually I would bring potions. It's just they're so weak that I don't see any point in this particular case. So the thing that the boss is actually mixing up is which pair of turrets are shooting. Gem draft, I have those. Don't really care. Whether it takes me until there's 35 minutes left or until it takes 36. I have eaten mate cookies. I'll say Rillian, hope you're doing well. Yeah, that could help Bright Star. The thing is, unless the boss is like... sometimes it might matter, but a lot of the time just getting a little fancy with it, with the footwork, the second and first boss... And the first and second boss, you could kite. You could just run away. And then they'll lose like a second. And that second will actually save you more HP than drinking a potion. But yeah, 54 minutes... I would say this was a lot easier than Uewaza Field Station. I remember on the final boss in Uewaza, I was like, for the whole thing, do we wipe now? Do we wipe now? I had to use my invuln like 2 times, if not three times in that fight to make it. Here, I didn't use my invuln in the whole dungeon. I know, I could have used that before kiting on some of those pools, but when they're range mobs, it's a lot better to save it, just in case. Just in case you miscalculate. I'll say it's good to lose. Hope you're doing well. Yep, the only weakness of Warrior's ranged mobs, it's ranged mobs, DPS checks, and too many tank buster level threats. I don't know how the situation stands now, but I remember in the same stream where we tried to where we soloed Uewaza Field Station, I attempted to solo Black Cat normal. It was, to me at least, it was straight up not possible because she used really hard tank busters and, more importantly, stack markers too frequently. The thing is, the tank busters were not really a problem, but they did just enough damage that healing options would get spent. And the stacks required near, like basically kitchen sinking to survive. But you also needed health to do it. So if you spent your healing on a tank buster, then you died to the stack marker. And if you didn't use your healing for the tank buster, you died to the tank buster. But Paladin could solo Black Cat in 7.2. So that's a case where Paladin has an advantage. Ain't that something? Khan time? Oh yeah, that's true. So Temple of Khan got changed. Let me just check something. Ah, man. I was hoping for a second we could meme it up with Ruin 2. It's 1 level short. And also true, it's an 8-man stack. That would have been funny. When we did the Haltali, we did it as Summoner. I think Kotter's Cry is too hard for a DPS to do. So it would have to be... It's either Warrior, Dark Knight, or a Healer. And between the healers, it's probably mostly between Sage... Well, actually, I guess anything that isn't White Mage is pretty solid. Like, even White Mage is probably okay, but White Mage is probably the weakest. But it'd have to be, like, between Warrior, Dark Knight, and not White Mage among the healers. Astrologian goes insane at that level. Let's see what you have. You have Plays, you have Benefic, you have Enhanced Benefic. Woohoo! You also have 2 stacks, two charges of light speed. The big sad is that you have a Malefic and like grade 1 combust. The big danger is whether Astrologian can survive potential tank busters, where Scholar and Sage can use barriers. Well, given how fast we did the Underkeep, we could probably try with Astrologian and then just back out and try with something else if it doesn't work. I'll say Rash, hope you're doing well. And yeah, I don't know, Sally. My best explanation is that there is some sort of weird, like, combination of breakpoints. I do not know. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see if Dawntrail's Astrologian can solo a new Sunken Temple of Khan. Actually, we can probably reuse this. Although it won't be quite as it'll be a little more whack. It's time for a new fun fact. Did you know Astrologian might be able to solo Sunken Temple of Khan? Sigs, that would be funny. Ah. I wanted to target the bee. Oh! I should just not have attacked it. I could have just let it deal with it itself. That's way easier. Huh. Just tank it, Lamau. Nope, it just did 1,000 damage. Fun fact, Final Sting is not a one-shot. I'm not sure if it does percentage HP in this specific case. Like, some of them do percentage HP. Some of them just do a lot of damage. I also just remembered, I could have just used sleep on it. Oh, that's gonna be funny, Void Hunter. Did it do its own HP as damage? I doubt that. Hey, Dan Tip. Hope you're doing well. And yo, yeah, Dot and Sleep. I used to do that when I was soloing as Scholar. The first few dungeons I soloed in this series, I did as Scholar. And not just that, but I didn't even kite very much. Not because I had decided I didn't want to or something. I was just stupid. Like, I just forgot that that was an option. Oh, right, my MP. Whoops. Right. It managed to sneak in the attack before my sleep landed. So it got hit, resisted, and then killed me. Hey, Internet. Hope you're doing well. Speaking of which, yep. So does death count as failure to solo? No. Some cases you actually need to basically sack yourself to kill one mob. You can actually, Alice, I put the rules of the challenge in the stream description. But in this specific case, I'm not doing a minimum item level and all that. I haven't done that for revisits in the past either. But yeah, the question is whether it is soloable. The question isn't whether it is soloable without failure. I should probably save, like, a charge of light speed so I can use it to heal myself. The funny thing is, Brightstar, in this level range, while that is an option for Gunbreaker, Warrior's Thrill of Battle and Dark Knight Soul Eater matches Brutal Shell's healing per GCD. So Dark Knight can do more damage while healing the same amount. Because Brutal Shell is only 200 cure potency and nothing else before level 52. with no barrier. Warrior's Storm's Path is a little weaker in the like raw cure potency department. But they have Thrill of Battle, and the fact they can, you know, stall a GCD by using Inner Beast, if they don't need the healing yet, can give them a slight advantage in optimizing the timing of their healing. It does seem it just does about 1000 damage. I just tanked it this time. I realized way too late that I had been attacking the bat instead of the bee, but then it also occurred to me that I haven't been able to kill the bee in time before, so why bother? You're roughly 66%. That's true, Alice. It could be percentage-based. It definitely could be. The big danger here, then, is that there are 2 bees that regularly spawn in the boss fight. Tongues is Kata's Cry getting a rework? Yes. They're basically, for each major patch, they're working their way through one optional dungeon at a time. Oh, that's going to be annoying. That might actually be a death sentence. I'm pretty sure it can crit. So if it just randomly crits with a tank buster, it's over. I hate it when that happens. Can I sleep them? Again! The shenanigans are immeasurable. Hey, Seraph. Hope you're doing well. Uh-oh. I didn't see that I actually didn't manage to combust that one before sleeping it. Or alternatively, that it didn't die in time. Oh boy. Oh man, this is a... Oh, I should have used that card. Oops. Well, that's fun. When it is a damage roll, whether that trick even works. Bro. Really? Yeah, this is the one where it's going to... Like, one of the bosses might straight up not be possible. I have a feeling that it'll be the golem. I do have to say there's something wacky about the boss being able to deliver the tank buster like that. They call him Mr. Noodle Arm. He just swipes at you. I really need to make sure I'm getting my MP. Because the 2 reposes, like, about every minute, that adds up quick. The biggest troll of this is that I have to run over in case it doesn't move. Nah, you thought what's really the challenge here is soloing the most recent dungeon? Nah. Soloing content with astrologia. Now that's something that puts hair on your chest. I didn't even bring potions. Why didn't I bring potions? I should have brought potions for this. I just didn't. In my hubris. I have the potions, but my chocobo has them in the saddlebag. So I straight up can't access them. I have a feeling that these both are a low roll. Ow. Hey, Mask. Hope you're doing well. And thank you. You know, Terato Tower, the fact that your tank buster happens to perfectly overlap with a time where you have to sleep these guys is not appreciated. I'll have you know. Not appreciated. Ow. Hey Fern, hope you're doing well. Was this boss even changed outside of the tank buster mark and him running to the center for Model Ray? Model Ray used to have a much shorter cast time, I think. But that's really it, I think. Man, that bee survived with 0.4% HP. It's straight up. If I actually draw cards and play the damage card, it might be reliable. Hey GL, hope you're doing well. And that's true, they also added the big red warning. Model Ray didn't have a cast bar, it had a chat message. Model Ray had a cast bar. It was stunnable even. Like you could, if the problem was that the cast bar was so short that you needed to click the stun before the attack started. Otherwise you wouldn't catch it. But it was a cast. It did have a cast time. We're almost there. I can tell you, Zaf, that the cast was there. It was just super short. So like, yeah, if you weren't like basically looking at where the cast bar would appear, you would miss it. Oh, how many bees was that? Too many. Speaking of bees. An entire hive. Man. Even though I gave it everything I had, I couldn't kill it in time. There's just no point in trying to fight the bees. The best I can do is sleep one or something, and then it'll come and final sting me when it's done. You didn't give it a sleep? Oh, the problem is I would just have to sit there. And its final sting is so fast that even if I swift cast it, it isn't good enough. I got it this time with my range damage buff. Also, I forgot to split. Even the reminders forgot. Yeah, it was just like, whew, we finally did it. What? Splits? What are you talking about? That was the end, right? There are 2 more bosses? You've got to be kidding me. I'm just going to deal with these guys. Because I have a feeling that I will want this kiting space. Actually. Wow. Yeah. What are you gonna do about it? Huh? I was hoping it had shorter max range than me. That would have been hilarious. Will you actually solve the pedestal? I don't remember what the correct answer is. That's why I haven't bothered to pick anything up. So I will probably just... The can phase appeared and then disappeared. Flame and fruit. Where's the flame and the fruit? Oh, is it specifically the two you can skip? That is pretty funny. Well, then let's do it. Also, let me just do this. We don't need phasing for this dungeon, so... The skeleton is making a lot of noise for not so much attack. He's a laughy boy. I should have played that card. And you survived! Apparently. I thought I had you. Apparently not. The fruit of knowledge. So what's it? It's flame left and fruit right? Hey, Casey Cake. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Dawntrail. Hope you're doing well. Is it always flame and fruit? I believe the answer's always the same, because it's like... It's a lore check. So it'd be weird if it wasn't consistent, wouldn't it? But it is genuinely a case of that extra pack at the end doesn't take that long. and a lot of the time people put the things on the scale wrong, so people just can't be bothered to do it, especially not when you have to do that. Like, you have to kill that pack with the heads, and you have to kill a pack at each thing, so basically you're trading one pack at the end for 3 packs earlier. The main reason why I did it here is because I'm like, I can't remember how big that pack at the end is, and it might be easier to just deal with the packs that I know what is. And it's also funnier. I'm going to count that as dealing with pack 3, I think. Ow. These boys slap. Yowzers. Can you not do that? I can basically take 0 damage and do 0 damage, or I can do a lot of damage or do some damage and then not and then also take a lot of damage myself. That's a difficult trade. Save Enderic. Hope you're doing well. You can do it in Explorer mode. I believe the answer there is that these old dungeons with all the side paths are much older than the Explorer mode. So like the Explorer mode was added, it's just like whatever, right? If that was the problem, you could probably just do the dungeon, like, unsynced. Also, Shaq, hope you're doing well. Thank you for celebrating 15 months as part of the Cult of the Pink. And yeah, Underkeep, I think the hardest part was the, one of the 2 last polls. One of the 2 last polls. Oh, right. You're here, too. So here comes the real hard part. And if you thought the first boss was gonna take a while... Oh, man. Can you do Kata's synced solo? Scholar can solo Kata's Cry. That's a lot of damage. And that was with the bowl. Thank you, Erdil. Maybe someone can solo as well? I don't think so. The reason why Scholar can solo Kata's Cry while tanks barely can, if they can at all, is because the first boss applies a dot to you and then leaves. Like, sometimes it'll just straight up dot you up and leave. So, like, the tanks can't heal because they don't have something to attack. But Scholar has a Shuna. Originally, I believe I also soloed this one with Scholar. Exactly, Void Hunter. It is perfectly possible that a tank could solo the other bosses in Kata's Cry, but they can't solo the worm. Hey Ham, hope you're doing well. Ow. But yeah, like, maybe if it was good enough to just spam physic on yourself, but the problem is that the boss will also put a dot on you and then spam attack you while it's doing it. So you need a healer on you. And yeah, Scholar also gets the massive power boost that is having Ruin 2. Oh boy. We have to do that like 8 times. Oh man. Were you meant to split? Yes, I was. Thank you. Uh-oh. I thought I was dead. Hey Kane, hope you're doing well, and hey Skyshots, hope you're doing well as well. Ow. You know what's really weird? That stun can be removed with Ishuna. Maybe a race car build summoner can out-heal a dot somewhere. What do you mean a race car build? Like just running a lot? Spell speed. Oh. Maybe? Again, the problem is that the dot itself hurts a lot, and then you also need to survive the damage from the boss. That's why, like, Scholar sometimes has to use Adloquium and maybe Physic a little bit here and there, while simultaneously having Ishuna. And Summoner has less than that. It's like, there's a lot of... You really like to do that, huh? So I just don't think it's possible. You don't have access to Lightspeed? I do. I'm just not using it because I'm an idiot. Thank you for reminding me. I keep not using it because every time I go, oh, I could use Lightspeed, I end up like greedily using both charges, and then I'm immediately put in a spot where I'm like, oh man, if I only had Lightspeed right now. So I just end up not using it, holding it for in case I needed it. I should have ordered that better. Yeah, basically the elixir conundrum. Cat, the thing I said wasn't possible was Summoner Solo Cutter's Cry synced. And I say that because as far as I know, like it's already a huge if whether a tank can. And I know Scholar and Sage can. Because I know Scholar can, and Sage usually can if Scholar can. And sometimes it's easier for Sage, sometimes it's harder. Kind of depends on whether you need Ruin 2, or whether your creation diagnosis is good enough. That is a fantastic question, Sally. I don't know. As I say, I hope you're doing well. Sage would have 2 charges of Flemmer. It starts at 2. And that would definitely also help, yes. Ow. The big problem here is also that I'm not 100% sure where the cutoff, where the boss stops, like, taking full damage is. But I'm specifically trying my hardest to make sure I at least get an 1/8 of his HP per round. So that we at least only need to do it 8 times. Hey, Nighty Valor, hope you're doing well. We actually had no issues whatsoever in Underkeep. Now, just for the memes, just like last time, we went to do this, the most recently reworked dungeon. With Astrologian, for some reason. With the logic being that, given Astrologian is so crazy good with their cards and that, they would probably have an easy time with something like Sunken Temple of Khan. Kata's Cry is level... it syncs you to level 41, I think? It's level 38. I think you're thinking of Bravelock's Cane. Astra's well known for their solo damage. Yeah, true. I do remember that this was equally cursed last time we did it. But yeah, the reason why Scholar is so jacked for Kata's Cry is because that's the earliest dungeon where they have access to Ruin 2. Which makes them the kiting god. It's absolutely crazy unfair. Like, you can do Chimera, the last boss, while basically taking 0 damage. If you play it right. It almost feels like it's stunned for longer each time. Like, just like a second longer. Something like that. Yeah, we're halfway. Why not use Lightspeed when the gem is destroyed? Would that get more casts in? No. The GCD is the same. So that it would only be if if it becomes resistant again during a cast. The GCD is still there. So I wouldn't get more casts. The only thing we can really use Lightspeed for is healing, maybe? And getting a few more hits in before we have to heal ourselves. The fact that Benefic heals right when you play, like, activate it is also really nice. I don't know, Crab Cake. If you look really closely at the boss when he becomes vulnerable, invulnerable again or resistant again, you can see if the damage numbers stay around 50 or so from the dot. It appears they do. So yeah. Maybe the problem, as I said, is that I can't quite figure out the exact timing. So it's just better, instead of like dotting again too soon, to just get an extra Malefic in, I feel. But yeah, it does seem to do its full damage. And my dot ticks for like about 50. So it's like 500 damage each time. That probably helps a huge amount with making this damage. 3 more times, I think. I keep forgetting to use Lucid Dreaming. Eventually it'll become a problem. I don't need all of the MP, but because I only use cards at specific times, like I'm basically cycling through the cards during this phase, and then for the big burst, I play my spear for maximum damage. So I don't get as much MP as I should. To make sure that I do as much damage as possible. There's also the additional detail that if I try to like greed it and play and use a combust again, just as it becomes invulnerable, I might hit the moment where it becomes, well, not invulnerable, but super resistant. And if I do that, then I basically... Did I just block the stun? But if I do it right as it becomes resistant, then I basically lose like 200 damage. And that is not a cost I'm willing to pay. Even though it's a potential 300 extra damage or something like that. We should have got this guy to protect Underkeep instead of the door. Yeah, exactly. He's at least built to protect. He's tanky. Yeah, whatever we do, we will have at least one more round, I think. I had to run a second sooner there because I needed healing, and I knew it was gonna punch me just as it became available again, or ready again. Bring the turtle. Oh, that's a good one. Uh-oh. And that is the reason why I need the spire after it becomes invulnerable again. And I need the spear when he's vulnerable. Random video suggestion glam for competition, but the theme is pink. Well, I mean, that would make more for a stream, right? There's also the part that, in regards to videos, I think most of the people that watch my channel are not particularly interested in glam. At least not from me. What are your thoughts on the jump puzzles in this game? I think they're alright. I feel like they do try to do something with the way movement works in the game. A lot of players just don't understand how movement in the game works. And because it doesn't matter for basically anything else in the game, that can make it really, really confusing for a lot of players. The part of the reason why almost every Mock-Tome event there's like a huge stink about jumping puzzles is because one of the most effective ways to get Mock-Tomes now is just doing gates in the oh yeah, boss dead, in the gold saucer, and that itself is not a problem. But it means that a lot of players that don't actually want to do jumping puzzles feel forced to do jumping puzzles. It's the same thing with so many other things. When, like, I've said it before, when Eureka was current back in Stormblood, a lot of players made a huge stink about Eureka because they felt like they had to do it, but they didn't want to do it. Bosha was current. A lot of people made a huge stink about Bosha because they had to do it. They felt like they had to do it, but they didn't want to do it. Eureka, Occult Crescent comes out. People don't make a particularly huge stink about how fun it is, but a lot of people that don't care for that type of content suddenly had a strong opinion about it with that, right? And yeah, it is, I will say, in terms of gold saucer stuff, that it is a little obnoxious how frequent Leap of Faith is. But it definitely doesn't help that I believe in terms of content added to the gold saucer, at least since I've gotten into the game, I think the only thing that has been added or expanded upon it is the addition of one more Leap of Faith. Otherwise, basically everything was already there. Which sort of explains why it feels like there's suddenly too much Leap of Faith, because it went from a quote-unquote balanced amount to suddenly there's a little too much. But it is a classic. I actually have a video on the topic of the things we hate together, which is basically explaining this whole thing where people will hate something in the game. They'll still do it, and they'll be mad about it, but they'll do it. And if you don't have it, some of the players will still be mad that they don't have it, even though they were mad when they had it. So yeah, history repeats itself. But yeah, I would say two ways they could probably fix a little bit of the crazy imbalance in regards to Leap of Faith in Gold Saucer is option 1 would be to straight up just reduce the amount of Leap of Faith, like the probability of it choosing Leap of Faith, because Leap of Faith happens too much. Another option would be to just say that, and I think that would still reduce the amount of Leap of Faith that you would see, would be to make it so that Leap of Faith only happens at a specific, like, 20-minute interval. But it's always Leap of Faith on that interval. I think that would still make it less Leap of Faith than we have now. And thank you, Erdil. And yeah, there is something about the weird acorn and pinecone thing in Leap of Faith. And yeah, exactly, Necrofit. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, it doesn't have to be 40 minutes, but just a time. Like, that's the Leap of Faith time. So people that don't want it can just skip that one. But as it stands right now, it is possible to get basically 3 Leaps of Faith in a row. I'm pretty sure that you could have, like, if the randomness decided to play into it, you could have essentially infinite Leap of Faith. It's just incredibly unlikely. Yeah, that is true, Nox. That was funny. There was this person that was really mad about the cones screaming about it in shout chat, and I just said that I spilled grease all over them. This is getting a little bit down to the wire on the timer. I wonder if the last boss will repeat mechanics. Target yourself so you can better see your hitbox? Yeah, that might help. Hello again. Each time that guy has spawned, it has just been met with me leaving. Pretty funny that that specific Khan phase just chases you through the whole dungeon until you eventually get it. Oh, despawned. It better not have recovered that HP. And yeah, as Nox says, Tongue, while it is a classic that people suggest this, traits are turned off in Leap of Faith. So Ninja does not run any faster on Leap of Faith. Oh. I thought I was going to have to fight all 3. Well, this is way easier. But if you want to run faster like that, just sprint. when the sprint naturally runs out, you have jog, which makes you run 20% faster, which is more than what the ninja passive does. But I have noticed, personally, that I find Sylph lands way harder with jog active, as opposed to just not having it. It's inconsistent levels of sprint. Oh, no. That's what I mean, Tongue, is that you sprint and then you just let it time out. After that, you have permanent jog. Hey, Rainbow's Hour. Hope you're doing well. Who's Bodhi? What about the roleplay walk? That one will also be 20% faster. Oh, thank you, Rainbow Sow. It could be. Hope you're doing well. I've often used sprint right at the start of a leap of faith, just to get like a good start, but it doesn't always work well. Now we need to fight all three at once. Fantastic. Well, this is awkward. Hey, Battle Goose. Hope you're doing well. Was it flames and fruit or fruits and flames, guys? So flames left, fruit right, is that correct? We're talking, Tongue, just to be really clear with you, the Sildine answer is not the same as the Khan answer. And then we see if I've been memed. Da-da! Extra loot! What are we getting? Shards. A robe. And gloves. Wow! Now the question is whether this boss is even harder. This is the one that has been changed the most. How much are we talking? Give it to me straight. That's not so bad. That's like 500 damage. With bowls, like 550? That's nothing. Can you not do that? Like, wax my weapon out of my hands. Just dink. Do the rod still trap you if you're solo? I don't know what happens. We'll see what happens. I guess you have your answer there. Apparently it's not so bad, because the boss just kind of stood there. What did you say about one per player? Ah! Now the big question is, will it repeat the mechanics forever, or will it just eventually just go, oh, never mind? Alright. Don't forget about light speed. That is a good point. Thank you. I should have just started with that. Apparently one dot is enough for all four, so I should just dot them and then be on my merry way. That also means I can use light speed for boss uptime instead. It's gonna die of old age. You know, with this pace, you might be onto something there. I didn't get that much value out of that light speed. I want my money back. Hey Rob Gero, hope you're doing well. How would you solo T with anything, Rob Gero? The big problem with the auto attack optimization is that sometimes the boss will just interrupt me. With their auto attacks. They'll still do that, but by standing right next to them, I increase the probability of them doing it. I believe it was at 85% like 4 minutes ago. So it's going to be close, but I think we can do it if this is the pattern we're dealing with. I should have not reapplied. That was a bit wasteful. Oh, right, you do that. But yeah, if you are enjoying the stream, guys, it does help me a lot if you leave a like on it while we're here. Telling the algorithm this is an enjoyable stream. I'd like other people to enjoy it as well. So thank you so much in advance. Now, now the boss is hitting me again. The thing that I will say about the difference between this version and the old version of this fight is that the old version, if you wanted to, you could, like, if you could dodge the things, you could just ignore the mithril verges, aside from the one with, like, the cube around it. Although, if you just ignored it, it'll do a raid wipe. If you could survive that, again, you could just ignore it. Here, the 4 that shoot faster and faster, if you ignore them, they will eventually explode, and they explode as a combined unit, and I don't think a healer can survive that. Which is basically the reason why I'm making a huge point of dealing with them. Like, I could just sidestep them for a while and, like, save those GZDs, but I'm not gonna do that. They explode for 500 damage each? Yeah, well, there you go. That would do it. Whoops. That's fine, I didn't want to cast anyway. No, I didn't want to cast. It's okay. It's fine. I didn't want it. About 5 minutes ago, I believe the boss was at 60%. Hey Anne-Marie, hope you're doing well. Here's the funny story about that. The stings do 1000 damage or so ultimately, aside from one that killed me when I messed up the trick I wanted to do, the rest of them I just ended up like... I managed to kill one of them when it was completely alone. But other than that, if they were in a pack, it just made better sense to ignore them and just let them final sting me. It was easier to kill them that way, because they die when they final sting. I'll say Chili Dog, hope you're doing well. And thank you so much. I'm really glad to hear that. Whoop. Oh, I have almost 2 light speeds. I should be using that for the damage. But yeah, was it Tongue? Who was it that mentioned optimizing auto attacks? That does help. It's like a 7th of a Malefic. That might sound like me making fun of it, but it does add up. Every 7th auto attack is a GZD saved. It's pretty huge. I always forget it when I need to do it. Did you know that Celestian Consolo Khan sinks before dying of old age? Amazing! What an accomplishment! The weirdly cursed part is that every single boss massively prolongs the fight by summoning ads. Or having a thing you have to kill that spawns over and over again. Like, that's what makes this take so long. Specifically. Like, we had to beat the golem, like the armor part, 8 times. And I think we had to kill over 20 bees on the first boss. Yeah, I don't know if it would be that much faster on any other healer. I think the point where a scholar might get ahead a bit is that because they don't have to use like they don't have to maintain something like Aspected Benefic, they might need. I'm just going to stick to my strategy. I'm not gonna leap and risk it. But a scholar might be able to do a little bit more simply because they can, like they have EOS. They just better personal DPS now? Slightly? But they don't have EOS, so if they're running, they don't heal. They have Flemmer, but when they're running, they don't heal. That was a lot harder than Underkeep. Oh, man. Palms are sweaty. Wowzers. The longest yarn ever. Oh, man. What was it? Underkeep took 54 minutes, I think? And this took 78. Yeah, mom spaghetti. That's the hardest part about doing stuff like this in this summer heat. Is that during the long pull, I have to find time to like take a sip of water. I have to like dry off my hands. And not forget things. Just get a really big straw. just get one of those like drinking hats. Just an IV bag. It is weird with the level 100 duties when there's someone that leaves. Like initially at the start of Dawntrail, I remember I don't see it nearly as much now, but like around the start of Dawntrail, I saw so many people leave duties on a whim that I made a video on the topic actually. Talking about like how the things work for those that don't know and all those things. Since they were insecure about the mechanics, I assume. I guess so. Like the things but the thing is, Fern, the things I noticed was people leaving Alliance raids, people leaving random dungeons, but obviously, especially Stray Borrow Deadwalk, aka Ghost Park. Thank you, Erdil. But it is funny because if you leave Straper or Deadwalk when you get it randomly because you don't feel confident about the mechanics, then you never doing them means you will never get confident about the mechanics. So if you leave it because you find it difficult, then it's going to stay difficult. It's the same with something like Dunskate. Is that people leave it because they don't want to deal with the first boss. But if you never try it, you'll never figure it out. And yeah, exactly, Fern. That was what I was getting at in that video, I'm pretty sure. Or a different one, possibly. Is that the rewards from Expert Roulette are small enough that it would be better time invested for you to just queue for like back at the start of Dawntrail, to just queue for Alexandria and Tender Valley. Twice. Rather than queue for Expert Roulette, randomly get Ghost Park, and then leave and do nothing for 30 minutes. Like, you would be able to do Tender Valley twice in that time, and you would get more rewards than Stray Borrow Deadwalk with the daily reward. So it's like, why roll the 1 in 3? Why bother, right? And the comments on that video told me that the reason a lot of these people leave is because they will go, I'll queue for Expert Roulette. If I get the one I don't want, I'll just leave and play something else. which means the 30-minute penalty is diddly squat for them. They, like, if it wasn't there, they would, of course, not make that arrangement. But if it's there, they've already lined up the thing they'll do instead. Like, they might already have, I don't know, Steam open, and like, I'll just open Elden Ring if I get the duty I really want. Theo says I must be living in an echo chamber or something, because I feel like I have 13-minute stray burrows locked. Oh yeah, that's the thing, Theo. That's what I mean. Tender Valley, Stray Burrow Deadwalk, they're both... Umewaza Field Station and Underkeep as well are all beatable with a normal group composition with 4 solid players in 13 minutes. I do it basically every day. It's not a problem. But if you leave, then you get a 30-minute lockout where you're not allowed to queue for anything. Which is why I'm saying just doing Tender Valley twice is more value than queuing and then being unlucky and then doing nothing for 30 minutes. And Tung, that is not a smudge unique interaction. Are you ready? Let me just hide that. Smudge. Ethereal Shift. I think it's Shakuchi as well. Yep, it snapped me down to the ground. Elusive Jump is on cooldown. But Wing Glide. Elusive Jump. Hill's Ingress. And Regress. Think also Displacement. Or Déplacement. Yep. And Core. Yep. I can't test my nib. I'm not in a party. It doesn't matter. You get the point, right? This is actually a funny interaction that we had. I have it on my list for Mythbusters. I have it on my list for Mythbusters, which is you will snap to the ground and you will take 0 damage if you do. However, if you jump down from somewhere far enough that you will take damage from the fall and then you dash, you will take the damage already accumulated by the fall when you snap to the ground. It's particularly funny in PvP. Because if some, like for instance in Shatter, I think I mentioned this one before, in Shatter, if someone like you're fighting someone up on one of the bridges, like those like ice bridges, and they like try to flee by jumping off the edge, and you're like, well, I don't want to jump down and take that damage. If you have a gap closer, if they are above air and you gap close to them, you will teleport down to the ground. So you can just be like, oh hey, you finally made it, as they come down, and then they take fall damage, but you didn't. If you get knocked off a ledge, you can also use it to try and save yourself. But you have to do it quickly so that not too much fall damage is already accumulated. Dawntrail says, some of the MSQ dungeons were harder than the Dawntrail high-level dungeons, in my opinion. Yeah, the thing is, and we talked about that earlier in the stream, someone asked about this. I think it was Taldemar that asked why it is that the max-level dungeons have a tendency to be statistically, like, raw numbers easier than leveling dungeons. Just in general, like, leveling dungeons being harder numbers-wise than high-level dungeons, quote-unquote, whether it's 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100. And the answer is simple. As Tom put it, item sync. That is also funny, because for a video, I looked up the speed, like the fastest clear times for all of the max level dungeons at present. And just off memory, every single one, except one of them, had a clear time of under 9 minutes. Only one of them took, I believe it was 11? Any guesses as to which one that was? Of the max level dungeons? And thank you, Rainbow's Owl. Correct, Ilana. Alexandria. Why? Because it has an item level sync that is stricter than the others. Look, check this out. The minimum item level for Alexandria to Strayber or Deadwalk is 670, but Alexandria caps you at 700, while the two others cap you at 730. Meanwhile, oh yeah, Uewata also caps you at 730, but it's only 20 item levels higher than the minimum, and then Underkeep doesn't cap you yet. Alexandria's MSQ though, no? Alexandria is a max level dungeon. It is a little complicated because Banfrey said some of the MSQ dungeons were harder than the Dawntrail high level dungeons, but most of the high level dungeons are MSQ dungeons. So I assumed that they meant leveling dungeons versus max level dungeons. No, it's not, Red Master. It's not. It's exactly because of, I think, what Scootaloo's is saying. It's basically because, as it is like the pre-endgame dungeon, its item level is stricter. Like, remember, you're supposed to enter this dungeon at like item level 690. Nice. And you can actually see that it's the same thing with the previous endgame dungeon. See? 540, 570, go to Smileton. Oh, 30 more item levels. Exactly the same thing. 30 more item levels. Go to Shadowbringers. Amarot. 30 item level difference. Twinning. Oh, 30 more item levels. Stormblood. Alamigo. 30 item level difference. Kugani Castle. Oops, 30 more item levels. I don't know if it goes down to Heavensward, but let's check. Arf? Oh, that's weird. Huh? Question mark? Okay, sure, why not? What about Neverreap? Oh, 30 more item levels. Fantastic. Does it actually work for Realm Reborn? That would be funny. Castrum. 60. I have to check 2 places. A bunch of places. Castrum and Praetorium are the same. Wanderer's Palace. Oh, 50 more item levels. Underkeep. 50 more item levels. Faral Sirius. 50. Like, I Realm Reborn was even more lenient, actually. That's why I checked both, Sayo. Castrum and Praetorium are equal. But yeah, I believe it's just because the dungeon is balanced around the assumption that, like, you have entry-level, max-level gear at best. So, like, the dungeon is a little easier, quote-unquote, statistically. The 2 optional dungeons have a little more room to grow, but they are still assuming that you might have that item level. But they can be tuned a little bit higher because you technically have gearing options at that point. Maybe they lowered it to be a bit more challenging. My guess on that, Ilana, is it's possible there wasn't a gear sync before the rework for Castrum and Praetorium. Based on exactly what you're saying. Because, man, like, Castrum and Praetorium used to be mega fast. Item level sync was put into the game in Heaven's Vault retroactively. Oh, that explains a lot. Hey, Emir. Hope you're doing well. But that is true. That is also, like, by the way, that is also something that is important to keep in mind in regards to... You did it, Cat? With Summoner? That is amazing. Do we have enough time to clear the rest of the dungeon? Fair enough. Hey, in my defense, I don't think Cat would have done it if I said it, if I didn't strictly say it wasn't possible. Emia, I had the audacity to suggest that Summoner wouldn't be able to beat the Worm solo synced in Cotter's Cry. So Cat went and did it. Why would I do that? Well, it came up. I mentioned that I used you know how he gets. Well, I mean, I was actually expecting that Cat would have said, yeah, no, that's not possible. And just left it. Because I have made impossible claims before where both Ham and Cat looked at it and said, yeah, I'm not doing that. But apparently this one was doable enough. But yeah, something that what I was about to say was that, as you can see here, Underkeep does not have an item level sync. But it will be added when the next raid tier starts. It will presumably be 760. The only ones that don't get an item level cap or sync, like as an explicit one, is the two last dungeons of an expansion, because their item level cap is effectively whatever the highest item level cap will be at max level. So it doesn't have to mention it. Yeah, exactly, so it's like, at present, the current realistic item level cap is 760, like, practically speaking, so they don't have to add anything until the next raid tier comes in. And actually, Seo, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I have actually demonstrated this in my Mythbuster series. The last two dungeons item level sync will not be 795. But they will not have them listed exactly in the same way as the previous expansion's item level limits, as you can see here. This actually means an item level sync of 660 in quotes. Because here's the weird thing. If you bring an item level 665 item that requires level 90, then it will be allowed. So like a relic weapon, or, you know, savage raid weapon. But if you bring a weapon that is, you know, over item level 660, but requires over level 90, then it will get synced to 660. Not 665, 660. And I can actually demonstrate this. I just need to grab a relic weapon. I think it's on this one. Nope. No, I don't think that's it, Seo. I think it's just that, for whatever reason, the developers have set this sync to 660 instead of 665 because the armor at level 90 is 660, and then it just only checks if the item you're using has a higher level requirement than that. So you can see my strength here is... So you can see my strength here is 3,329. Because this weapon is synced to 660, equipping this one should increase my strength. If it doesn't, I'm going to look really silly right now. And it would also mean that they have changed it since my gear syncing Mythbuster video where it demonstrated exactly this in the footage. Oh, I gained 7 strength. Weird that. I also gained like 70 HP. Add it to the pile of Final Fantasy XIV jank. Go on. Thank you, Erdl. Yeah, it gets really weird with that kind of equipment, Sally. Basically, if... It gets really weird. I explain it in the gear syncing video. But the way it basically works is if... max level dungeons that don't say they have an item level restriction, they have like an implied item level restriction, which is like they'll sync you down to 660 unless the item is actually, 665. Like if it's legitimately level 90 gear, then it'll let you. But if it is higher than that, then they will sync the item regardless of what you want, like regardless of things. Like if it, for instance, the Iokatsumu level 91 gear requires level 91 and it gets synced to level 90. Like basically one of the stats on the equipment is too high, so it'll get synced down to 90. If it's not actually past 660, then the syncing doesn't do anything for the stats on the gear, because it has less stats than a 660 item if it's 650, right? But syncing down turns off materia, which means the specific instance where this matters. Also, you subdued Radical, thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. The specific instance where this can matter is specifically with these two pieces of equipment, level 92 and 94. If the gear syncing was 665, then this piece of equipment would be better than 660 gear. Just flat, assuming the stats on the piece is good, or are good. But both of these can be pentamilded if you wanted to. But because they are higher than level 90, the materia just turns off, just fizzles. So because of that specific restriction that the level has to match as well, means that you can't. This is particularly important for Criterion. And I was made aware of this weird interaction by Taldemar. And it is weird, Seiyu. It is funny because it means that having optimal gear for a specific duty sometimes means having item level appropriate gear for the duty. Very strange, but hey, that's some of the jank of Final Fantasy XIV. And the thing is, some people like it. Some people say it's silly and it shouldn't be there. Sayo says, can we also talk about how X1 dungeons are actually previous expansion cap minus 10 synced related tangent? Yeah, that is weird. What's even more weird is that it means that level 93 gear, or rather X3 gear, I believe, is equal to the basically the best gear from the previous expansion cap. Typically, I believe. Materia is not disabled in Occult Crescent, Dawntrail. Dawntrail, Occult Crescent has an item level sync of 700. Which means that the Arcanaut set that you should be using there can't use Materia. And it's somewhat limited what item level 700 gear you even have to choose from that is actually good. Because the only options you have is like the item level 700 tome gear from when the gate, like from Dawntrail released. That's your only option. And some of it just isn't good. Like, some of it just doesn't have a good stat line, so you don't want to. And I think the accessories only have one materia slot and things like that, so... for the most part, it's not that great. But it doesn't turn off materia, it's just that the item level sync is really weird. And that's correct, Anne-Marie. But it should be said, if you're good, like if you're a decent player, if you're a pretty good player, I'm not saying you have to be like a master, but if you're using your buttons smartly and your party is too, then you can perfectly fine use the endgame gear from the previous expansion to progress through the current one. Which means at level 50 you pick up the Ironworks Magitech gear and then you level the job to 60. Sure, if you're just spamming dungeons, you'll probably pick up some upgrades, equip them as you go, but you don't have to like stop and farm. You can just use the Ironworks Magitech gear all the way to 60, and when you hit 60, you already had the Shire gear in hand. You'll probably level up during a dungeon, and then you just slap that on, and now you're 270. And then you use that until level 70, and then you put on the Skaven gear, and then you hit level 80, and then you equip the Crypt Lurker gear? And so on and so forth. That's how I usually do it. It means that the most awkward gearing part is level 1 to 50. Or 49. But yeah, basically just make sure you equip any upgrades you do happen to find and you should be good. If you're not super great, that can of course be pretty rough to admit, but if you're not super great, you might have to do more prep. Especially if you're a tank or a healer. But genuinely, and that's of course really easy for me to say, because I was doing it on Black Mage, I basically just used the gear I already had, leveling all the way through Dawntrail. All the covers they gave me, I just like, thanks? What do you mean I had to use it? This is money. I still have a lot of them. Did you see it on one of my retainers? Oops, quest rewards. And I basically leveled all of my other jobs that way too. Although, you know, I leveled it... I leveled quite heavily by just doing daily roulettes for most jobs. And for some reason, it was reasonably rare that I actually hit Dawntrail level duties. So it didn't matter a lot of the time. And yeah, Ymir was there for those. But yeah, like, there's also the part that I basically did most of my dailies. Like, sometimes I would level a job on stream, and otherwise I would just do dailies with people in, you know, the community. Just use the link shell, like I often still do, to just do dailies. So, like, the average player in my groups was pretty strong. That doesn't surprise me, Cat, but well done. The specific thing that surprised me was that you could beat the worm. How did you do it? A lot of physics spam? I mean, the shield helps too. Oh, wait a minute. The shield can block the dot, can it not? So if you can figure out the timing, you can basically just Radiant Aegis whenever it's about to do it, and then it just ear with int in mind. That would also help, yeah. I had forgotten that the shield can block the dot. But yeah, that would do it. The timing is awful. Does it do it more frequently than once per minute? Or does it do it a lot less frequently than once per minute? Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, Inosha. That would not surprise me. But you probably wouldn't use the strength, dex, mind, int gear. Probably just like semi-level appropriate stuff. It refreshes more often than the dot duration. Oh. Tongue says, can I steal a link shell invite, by the way? If there's space in it, I'm sure they'll invite you. I'm specifically not an officer or anything in it, so I can't. But Aradil is right there, I think. Never mind, Aradil is not right there. I'm assuming it's hard-boiled spud, Aradil. Yeah, the reason why I'm not Tongue is because I didn't make a link shell or anything because initially, because I recognized that it was possible that we would reach a point where there wouldn't be space for everyone. And it's possible we would reach a point where even if I just filled all of my link shell slots with link shells dedicated to it, it's possible I eventually just wouldn't have space. So it was easy to just say, well, I happen to be in the link shell, but I don't own it. So if I eventually can't be in all of them, that's fine. Another person can just make an additional one and it'll be fine. It doesn't seem like that has ever become a problem. But yeah, another way to be in contact with the community is just be in the Discord server. That often helps as well. And then sometimes you'll catch that we're doing stuff. Or if you just hang out near my house, you'll sometimes just see people come here. And then eventually you'll a lot of people have just ended up in the link shell because I think Gassel has seen them seen people hang out at my house often enough that they go, oh, that person is probably a regular. Eyelid says, we can stalk your house. You are always allowed to visit my in-game house in Final Fantasy XIV. And I'm very specific about that wording. That's important. If you go to the Discord, in the general chat room, there is a pinned comment with the exact location of my house. And people sometimes like coordinate like meeting for content by just going to my house because everyone knows where my house is. In Dawntrail, consider the following. If the only reason why you're still playing or still paying for subscriptions of Final Fantasy XIV is because you have a house, are you using the house? You can get a new house when you come back, if you come back and have lost it. You can just get a new one. And you might be thinking, but maybe there aren't housing slots when I come back. If you have a large, that is possible. If you have a medium, it's a maybe. But if it's a small, I'm reasonably sure that there is a plot for you somewhere. It's actually pretty surprising that every house is filled in right now in this ward. You got that beachfront property. I still stand by that if you're playing the game or subscribing to the game just for the house, consider, like, if that's it, I would say it seems like you're still somewhat invested in the game beyond just that. But if that's the only thing, then my suggestion would be genuinely just let it be. Like, just let it go. Just let the house get demolished. Like, consider, let's say your subscription ran out, hypothetically, and then you just didn't play for a year. You would definitely lose your house, right? But then you can come back and get a new one if that's it. You might not come back for 2 years. And if you actually wanted to take a break from Final Fantasy XIV for 2 years, and the only thing preventing you is the sunk cost of having a house, isn't that silly? Who knows? In fact, it's possible. I'm not saying, well, I'll just quit the game. I'm just saying if that's the reason why you're playing, then it would be better for you to let it go, right? Who knows? Like, some players that feel like they're chained to the game due to their house might never come back if they quit. Like, if they finally convince themselves to quit, just full stop, they might never come back. And if they never come back, then them losing their house is completely meaningless. So that's what I'm saying. Check this out. Originally, when I got into Final Fantasy XIV, in Stormblood, one of the last things I did was the house next to my free company became available. And like, while the free company was like discussing who should buy it, I discovered that I had the money to buy it. It was so small, so I just bought it. Beachfront property, by the way. And then a week later, I quit. I don't think I realized that my house would get demolished. I didn't even notice that there was like the demolish warning that I presumably got a mail about. It was just, well, whatever. Then I came back like in the lead up to Shadowbringers when they had added Blue Mage to realize my house was gone. And then sometime in Shadowbringers, they opened new wards, and the free company I was in at that point basically went on a scourge to try and buy up as much property in one of the goblet wards. And we bought like half of one of these of the subdivision. Like about half of the subdivision, but we specifically bought them next to each other, like so that we basically had our own little neighborhood. But the idea of that started with me. Like we got a large, and I was like, is there a house near it? And they're like, yeah, there's a small next to it. So I bought that. And if you see some of my earlier videos, you'll see that. I record a lot of things in the goblet. I have a little striking dummy. Do that. And I had that house until more wards opened, and I was like, well, I could use a large as a place to hang out on streams. It made sense to have all this space. So I bet on the cheapest... Well, within a price range, like some of the cheaper larges were what I was looking at, but I specifically bet on the only one that only had one other person betting on it. So it was a 50-50 and I won. If I hadn't won, I probably just have been like, whatever. And then just not done anything with it. That's how I got this. But I don't think I would have bothered if it wasn't for the fact that I have, you know, the whole community that might also be interested in benefiting from it. So, basically, if you have nothing to use the big house for, then why bother? Why bother? Which is to say, if I were to one day quit Final Fantasy XIV, I don't think the house would be a very high priority for me. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the big problem I would have with quitting Final Fantasy XIV is that I have a lot of friends in the game. And we might not have that many things in common aside from Final Fantasy XIV, so it might be hard to keep those connections when we don't have that. And I speak from experience. Because, you know, makes sense. I had a reasonable friend group that I played WoW with, then I quit, gone. Just gone. I could probably, like, pick it up again. Some of them have Discord. Some of them are active on Discord. But, like, largely speaking, gone. And I've quit WoW multiple times, and each time it was just that friend group, gone. So that, when did you quit WoW? I quit in vanilla. I quit again sometime like mid-TBC. I quit somewhere like late Wrath. The exact timings I came back is also like, I came back shortly before TBC, like a little while before TBC. And then I came back for launch of Wrath, and I came back about launch of Kata. And then I quit during Kata and came back during Kata, and then like I was back before Mob launch, and then I played for all of Mob, and then I quit 1 month into World of Draenor, then I came back 1 month before Legion, and then I played for most of Legion, and then quit shortly before BFA launched, and then for BFA I paid for 1 month and discovered that I didn't like it. I've also come back for Classic WoW when that launched. Got a level 60 warrior on that, and then was like, I don't actually want to do endgame. Tried to level some other classes and just lost interest. I also came back for a bit when the whole hardcore craze started. I got to like level 28 or something. I didn't die. I just lost interest. So I've been on and off with WoW many, many times. But it is incredible how quickly things can fizzle out. Like, I had like half a year. I had like half a year where I played Monster Hunter World. Like, crazy hard. And when the group I played with had run out of things to do, each person like slowly quit. One by one. There's a whole Discord server, and we're all there. But no one cares. Like, sometimes someone will like ask a question in there, like a few months ago, it probably comes as no surprise that someone was like, hey guys, are you gonna play Wilds? And like 1 or 2 players were like, maybe. And that was that. Like, that was just the end of the conversation. Just maybe. So yeah, when I say that the big selling point for me with Final Fantasy XIV is like the friend group, the community that basically like partly I fostered around myself with all of you. I don't know how many of you would care if I was like, I care about what I was doing. It was playing a different game, right? And straight up, no hard feelings on that. Obviously, if I suddenly played a different game, it's basically like, if you enjoy that game, you might watch that too. If you don't enjoy that game, then I suppose I would have to be amazingly entertaining for you to care, right? And it's like, well, he's not playing the game I want anymore. Tung says, you might make me play a different game. That could also work, but that again requires that I am so amazingly interesting that you would watch whatever I play. The real Final Fantasy was the friends we made along the way. Pretty much. Pretty much, actually. That is extremely accurate. Thank you, Nighty Valor. Enjoy your dinner. And I'm glad to hear that, Nox. I will say, with a lot of the doom and gloom surrounding Final Fantasy XIV, it might not be a bad call to at least sometimes give some time with other games for comparison's sake. Like, definitely sometimes I can also look inward on myself and be like, well, I mean, it's very easy to say that Final Fantasy XIV is perfectly fine if you haven't given any of the competition the light of day, even a chance, for years. It's like, yeah, well, it's fine. And every time the other games do something good, what do you find? You just go and find drama on that game and say, nah. They're not doing any better. They're definitely not doing any better. It's fine. My game is good. Totally not biased, right? But, I don't know. Super Genius says 14 is my second game. I spent most of my time in 11. How do you find time to play 14 when you're already playing 11? Smash cut to Stupid Genius' character in 14, still in the MSQ. That would be funny. It's like, yeah, I don't find a lot of time, actually. Tiff says, only thing I miss from WoW is M+. If that's the only thing you're missing from WoW, then I guess you can join me in the fellowship waiting room. It's right over here. It hasn't released yet, but the idea is basically Mythic Plus the game. Thank you, Mia. It's supposed to be like a school or an academy or something. 20 years of 11. That is impressive. The dance room? Well, see, the thing is, Mia, I put down the dance floor, and then my best friend Aria put the rest there. And remember that pole dancing is very healthy. Exactly, it's exercise. Scootaloo says never play the older titles, not a fan of turn-based gameplay, and always assumed they were all the same style. Learned that it wasn't the case when it got shown 15 and 7 remake. Yeah, that's true. You see, the funny thing is, I actually enjoy turn-based. It's just, a lot of the older titles don't quite give the level of control, you could say, that I want in that. Like, I really love the tactics style, because that actually gives you the opportunity to, like, a little bit more, like, combat control and things like that. But it also has its limits. It's not always perfect either. But for those that do enjoy an old-school Final Fantasy that is turn-based, look up Crystal Project on Steam. It's great. And if you enjoy the tactics style, there's also Felseal Arbiter's Mark, which is, both of them are, I believe, indie. And they're both basically spiritual successors to both of those game styles. Here would be the link to it if we were sponsored. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not sponsored. But I have mentioned Crystal Project enough times that it would be... I do know for certain that I have been the reason for a few sales of that game. Necrophit says, I remember last time I was in the community, Crystal Project came up very, very frequently. Yeah, there was like a period where it came up crazy often. I think that was while I was playing through the Final Fantasy mod for Crystal Project. So it was like extra, oh, like free, like recent in my mind. Also, Nozereld, hope you're doing well. Nox is mentioning without being sponsored. I know, right? That makes it even more real. See, that itself is advertisement. Consider that, potential sponsors. This is what I'll do for free. Imagine what I would do if you paid me. Enjoy your evening, Rust. Exactly. Wink. But you're not being paid is better advertisement regardless. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Although, like, sometimes it'll make sense. Like, consider if I'm, like, basically shilling Crystal Project for free, and then eventually it's like, and now for our sponsor, and then it's Crystal Project. It's basically like me going, I would tell you to play this game for free, but they're paying me to tell you this now. Hey, Staff, hope you're doing well. Yeah, we already beat Underkeep. Not only that, we beat Underkeep, then we went and beat Sunken Temple of Khan as Astrologian, which actually took longer and was harder. But it's all there. So if you just want to see that stuff, you can always rewind. You can also watch it back when the stream is over. It's up to you. I'm pretty sure I still have the setting on where you can rewind while it is live. Anyway, speaking of, this is probably a good time to wrap it up. So if you enjoyed this particular stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube. That tells the algorithm this was an enjoyable stream, but like other people enjoyed as well. So thank you so much in advance. And if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link in the chat right there. There you will find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. I usually update it Sunday or Monday. You can also, in the announcement room, see links to videos and streams when they put them out. And if you grab the reminder roll in the role assignments room, you'll get a notification whenever I post a video or stream, as well as an extra one around 15 minutes before stream starts, so you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can become a member of the channel, you can gift memberships, you can use the super chat system, or if you don't like any of that, there's also the Ko-Fi link that Aradil has posted right there in the chat. It all helps support me and the channel directly, so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thank you so much for the support. But that'll be it from me tonight. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye!